the other night, me and you were hanging out. We were talking about the video that's been circulating. It was a woman that was walking around NYC, for I guess like 10 hours and got over 100 men catcalling her.
About 10 per hour.
About 10 per hour, right? But
when you put it all together like that, it seems like a very big amount, 100 cat calls, but about 10 per hour.
So that's one every 6 minutes. Roughly.
Okay.
Roughly. What was your take on that video?
Well, I mean, on face value, you could look at that video and say, gee, they're really trying to bring attention to some sort of plight that sisters go through every day that we're not appreciating. And to some degree, that is true. I want it to be known that if this really is a problem, sisters, we hear that, we hear you. It's not like nobody's listening to you, because that's what I feel like a lot of women, they feel like they're not being taken seriously when they come with certain issues. Especially when they're addressing a man about the issue, okay? But this thing right here, that woman walking around New York City, that's something that we have to step back and look at from a bigger perspective, a bigger lens. For one, many of the people in the video, what they were doing couldn't even be construed truly as harassment. I mean, there was one creepy guy that walked next to her for like 5 minutes or whatever, that's taking it across the line, but you're not going to get me to believe that when a man says to a woman, good morning, beautiful, or have a blessed day, or anything of that type of nature of trying to be social, whether it was elucidated by some sort of feature that the woman had, whether what she had on, or if she had a beautiful face, or beautiful, whatever made it happen. You're not going to convince me that that's street harassment. Okay? To me, street harassment is when it's like, hey, bitch, you want to suck this dick? You know what I mean? Like, yo, you give me a stiffy right now. Like, some crazy off the wall, or a woman walks by, you grab her arm or something like that, you try to squeeze her ass, that's street harassment. You know what I mean? But you're not going to now try to criminalize the basic contact that we have between man and woman. You see, because it's something bigger now. They're trying to, through social media, make us antisocial. Isn't that ironic? The very natural thing, it's like our whole chemistry is an affront to the feminist movement. Because once if I were to see a beautiful woman, okay, there's biology that's now taking place. Certain hormones and endorphins are kicking in, and you know what I mean? And now nature, what we've traditionally been taught to do is to now try to make a connection. And the best way to make a connection is a verbal connection. So I understand that in some cases, these connections can go wrong, but that's abnormal. That's abnormal. And let me just say another thing, because there's a few things that you got to look at within this. Disproportionately, the people that they were showing harassing this woman were black.
Correct.
And the director of the video admittedly said that he edited out white people. Admittedly. Now he's going to say he edited out other black people and Hispanics too, but...
And was she white?
Yeah, she was white.
Okay.
She was white, but she looked ethnically ambiguous.
Right, she could be Spanish.
She could have been Spanish. She could have been very light-skinned black from the back.
Correct.
So she was very racially ambiguous, and she was quite voluptuous too, even though she didn't have on what we might feel as, promiscuous type clothing, or, but still it did show her form and all of that, you see, which brings me to another place. When you talk to some of these feminists, they try to act like this is all on the man's behalf, as if how a woman conducts herself, and I'm not saying all women, I'm saying certain women, how they conduct themselves and dress and move around here in these streets, that has an effect on how they are approached and the type of people that approach them. These feminists don't want to take any responsibility for that. And that's crazy. It's like if I have a case with food in it and I'm parading it around in front of hungry people, can I be mad if they ask, can I get something to eat?
Right.
Of course not. So don't act like it's something wrong just with the man. Sure, certain men need to be able to control themselves and all that, but you have a part in it too. There's actions and reactions. You want to have an action, but then get upset when someone has a reaction to your action. Right. Now, see, there's another video out there that's not popularized that I'm going to let you know about. It's called Woman Walking Around New York City 10 Hours in Hijab. Okay? But really what she does, she walks 5 hours the same way that this woman did, with jeans and a t-shirt type of thing, and then 5 hours in hijab. Guess what happened? The 5 hours of walking around, regular, even though it wasn't very voluptuous, she was a pretty sexy girl.
Right.
So a lot of people were talking to her. Some of them did disrespect her, but some of them, a lot of them were like, oh, you're beautiful, God bless you, stuff like that. Once she put on hijab for 5 hours, nobody, and hijab is the traditional Muslim garb for those.
It covered, so only
no, it didn't cover her face. No.
It covered her hair.
Just the hair,
right,
and the body in a modest type of way, but it wasn't the burqa and all of that is when it goes over the face and all that. So she walked around with hijab. Not one person approached this woman. The same woman that just prior to that was, oh my goodness, oh, you got a nice ass, da 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 da. Not one person.
Well, I'm sure part of that is because stereotypically women who present themselves that way are not known to be promiscuous. Is that a fair assumption?
I think that's one part of it.
I think most guys would look at that and say, I don't have a chance with her because she's not into, casual sex and so forth.
Right. Well, I think there's also a spiritual aspect to it that adds to a respect that comes with that. And I'm not even just saying it has to be hijab. I see sisters with, traditional African garb, that really doesn't have any necessarily religious overtones to it. But if you see this sister walking down the street with her head high, you might say, good morning, sister. You look beautiful with you, but you're not going to be like, yo, you got a fat ass, because certain fashion statements speak volumes. You see what I'm saying? And we can't act like you could just do whatever you want and there are no consequences to it. See, that's some bullshit. When I say this to the feminists, they say that I'm victim blaming. But they wanted a woman to be able to walk down the street butt ass naked playing with her pussy, and I'm not supposed to look at that and say, whoa, that's crazy. Like, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
I mean, I think if I walked around a public area with, loose shorts and an erection, I think that a lot of women might, pay attention to that and make comments.
Some of them might be like, hey,
what's up?
Can I get some of that?
Yeah.
Like, come on. And see, and finally,
I'm sexy and I know it. That's what that song is about, right?
Finally,
I got passion in my pants. I ain't afraid to show it.
Finally, really, the worst thing about this is that instead of saying, okay, let's have a dialogue with each other of how we can refine ourselves culturally, so where we're not harassing women, we're maybe not dressing so promiscuously all the time out here in the street. But no, they're trying to criminalize and create laws that stop men from doing this. So now you're calling in armed people to enforce some shit that only a certain amount of the population even feels is a problem, because let's keep it real, some women love the attention.
Yeah.
They want the attention on purpose. Now you're trying to speak for a certain percentage of the women that's saying that this is a problem, but this is not all women, so knock it off. But now you're going to call in armed men to try to solve your problem, and see, that's a problem too. Like, you got to understand, these police will come in and potentially kill these men for now trying to enforce a law. Like, can we just talk it out? Can we just say, listen, we understand that there's things that we're both doing wrong. There's things that we're both doing that can be curtailed and to help get rid of the problem, if this really is a problem. Mm-hmm. Which I'm sure on some level it really is, but not the way they're trying to say. You know what I mean? People are not getting kidnapped and killed every day on some stranger danger shit. Statistics show if a woman or anybody gets hurt, it's going to be probably most likely from somebody they know.
Someone they know, right.
Okay? So worry about Uncle Johnny or one of them people, but you know what I mean? Your boyfriend, your ex-boyfriend.
Your coworker.
But don't worry about my man on the street talking about, hey, beautiful, God bless you, have a nice day. Because that's not street harassment. That's it.